coming up tonight, Scarlet takes in the sun, we get a bit of Italian, and we take a dip. It's all coming up, so let's set sail. Welcome to day 2 of the cruise view from onboard Scarlet Lady. Today was Monday, October 11th, 2021, and it was a sea day for us today. Today I am filming in the Aquatic Club, which is an area at the back of the top of the ship. Great views out to sea, and of course the largest lounge chair at sea as well. And one of the things that I noticed coming up here tonight, because it is about 1 a.m., a little after 1 a.m., the Oasis soot problem exists on Scarlet as well. Back here, I'm sitting up at the bar because we're under a roof, but everything that is out from under that roof, all the chairs, including the large lounger, are covered in soot right now. You can just see the black spots all over the furniture, so it is not safe to sit on there at night. I'm not sure if there are better conditions during the day. Of course, on Oasis, when we had this issue, it was mainly at night that it occurred, when the temperatures would drop a little bit. During the day, it wouldn't be as big a problem. She has been sailing for 18 months. She's been to the UK, which is far colder than the Caribbean, so I'm kind of surprised they have such a soot problem back here. But we have seen that the smoke from the funnel all day has kind of been dropping down to the ocean instead of drifting off into the sky. Not sure what's causing that. It seems like there's not a lot of wind, but there is some wind out there, so it should be drifting away from the ship. But either way, it looks like there's a lot of soot falling on the back deck right now. And a follow-up to a story yesterday. Mentioned ate at the galley yesterday, didn't have the best of service. This morning I had breakfast up at the galley and came right up from my cabin in the back of the ship, sat out on the back deck, and the moment I sat down I was greeted by a server, took my order, brought the food out. Very quick, very efficient, very easy, much better than the service that we saw yesterday, and certainly a lot less confusing. And it seemed like as every person sat down, they were very prompt to come and see if they needed anything or if they were just taking a break back there. But it definitely seemed like there was a much better service today than there was yesterday, and that certainly made it a lot easier to understand what was going on. I also talked about the lack of a paper version of the lineup. There was a paper version available today. It was down at Sailor Services. You could pick it up. It only went till 4 p.m. One side featured all of the activities from the lineup, and the other side featured highlights of the ship, including the dining times, which makes it a whole lot easier to understand when the restaurants are open, when the different areas of the galley are available. But it only went to 4 p.m. I did check later in the day. There was never a lineup put out for the evening, so you could not pick up a paper copy tonight. Hopefully tomorrow there'll be another paper copy out. I know I've seen it mentioned before in past sailings that they were doing the paper copies as well. It's a little odd that they only do part of the day at a time, but hopefully we'll see it expand, because it was definitely a much easier format to understand. And honestly, the dining part was probably the far more valuable component of it than even the lineup on it, because the dining with the app really doesn't have an ability to see what you need to find on there. Then I also mentioned that giant shower yesterday. Got a chance to take a shower today, and it was by far the best cruise ship shower, one of the best, if not the best, hotel shower as well. Somehow they've managed to get an incredible amount of water pressure out of there. There's so much water that comes through that rain shower compared to the other cruise ship showers that we're used to, where it is very weak stream of water. This one has tons of water pressure to it, so it's certainly a great shower, and of course you have all that space in there as well. And our final story, we've talked about technology before. Wi-Fi is available on board the ship. Still seems to be a bit of an issue. It doesn't seem like lack of internet is an issue, but just holding on to that Wi-Fi seems to be a problem. It seems like as you walk around the ship, you lose and you have to manually reconnect, but even just sitting in one spot, you'll be connected at full bars, full strength, and suddenly you will lose your connection entirely and have to manually reconnect and still have full strength. So I'm not sure why the Wi-Fi is so unstable, seems to kick devices so easily, but it certainly is one of the more annoying elements, and certainly makes the app much harder to use, because every time you go to launch the app, you have to manually go through the settings and reconnect to the Wi-Fi, because it does not automatically connect, and even if you were using it, it'll often just disconnect anyway. So as for our location, I mentioned we were at sea today, and our noontime location was 22 degrees and 59 minutes north by 84 degrees and 13 minutes west. We were just off the coast of Cuba, just off the western tip. You could see it right on the horizon as we were sailing along, and we were going at a pretty quick pace of about 17 knots. We did have a small amount of ship spotting today. There were a couple vessels around, mainly cargo, a whole lot of birds, and for some reason we had a big flock of birds that seemed to follow the ship for most of the day, along with a ton of flying fish. And then tonight at 9 p.m., off in the distance, we spotted our first cruise ship with the Disney Fantasy. She was setting sail from Cozumel to head to Nassau while we head down to Costa Maya, so we made a pass of her at about 9 p.m. tonight, off in the distance in the dark. For our weather today, it is a bit difficult to know the true weather, especially on these sea days. Along with much of the other information that is not available on board, there is no weather information on board. They don't tell you sunset, sunrise, temperatures. They don't even give you the weather conditions, the seas. There's no announcement of it. There's nothing on the TV, and there are no boards around the ships. And of course, no paper version of the lineup to include that detail. Kind of surprised it is not included in the app at all, since it is a basic piece of information that could be put in there. But either way, I was able to try to get the best information I could using my watch. It was able to pick up the GPS and provide a bit of temperature information for the sailing through the Yucatan Channel today. And according to the weather that I saw, we had a high of 84 degrees and a low of 79 degrees, making it an absolutely beautiful day. Very calm winds out there today, not a whole lot of movement in the air. And we had sunny, clear skies all day long, absolutely beautiful. Tonight it is still clear out there, you can see all the stars. And the seas were about as smooth as you can hope for. They had just a little bit of the slightest roll in them, making the most beautiful reflective surface to look out on. So then moving on to our lineup for today. This morning, as I mentioned, I did have breakfast at the Galley. We had great service, great quality food. That is a great venue that I think is going to continue to grow on my taste. It got off to a little bit of a rocky start, I think. Hopefully over time it'll improve and we'll see more and more good stuff come out of there. I then spent most of my day exploring the ship, found a lot of new nook and crannies, found the loose cannon for the first time off in a tiny little nook, as many of the venues are on board, and checked out a few of the events that went on. From 3 to 5 o'clock today, up on the pool deck, it was pretty crowded. We are only partially filled this sailing. We do not have a full ship. The pool deck was very crowded though, a lot of people out there, and it definitely got more crowded as we got to the retro glam party time. And that was listed as a party. Wasn't too much of a party. They changed from the DJ that had been playing to a more classical music, and the entertainment team came out and had little moments just like we're used to seeing in the Red nightclub. Just a couple personalities walking around, putting on little personas. Not big spectacles or a party like we're used to seeing in the 70s or 80s at night. Just little moments, and I think that might have gotten people off on the wrong foot. It was a very mild party while listed as a party, and there was certainly a large crowd that showed up to watch that, most of which seemed to fade away. So that was 3 to 5. I stayed for a little bit from about 3 to 3:30 before I left that. And then at 4:15 down in the roundabout, there was a game show, Scoop There It Is. It's the daily game show hosted by the Foodie, and it features sailors playing a series of rounds to win the prize of being able to name today's feature flavor at the ice cream parlor. And it starts off with a blindfolded taste test of the flavors, followed by some interesting challenges. Today's was a guess the movie the scream came from challenge, and ending with some trivia. So today's game took about the full half hour. It had a surprisingly large crowd. The Roundabout is a small venue, and it was filled today with people wanting to watch that event. So it certainly pulled a decent crowd in for that one. So that was 4:15 to 4:45. I then went down to the Dock House at 5 to 5:30 was the Phantom Folktales. That is the onboard folk singing group, and they put on a series of half-hour shows. I think they had 2 today. They have a couple others scheduled. They also can sometimes be seen just randomly popping up around the ship. They play some folk tales, go through some different stories. It's a great, relaxing entertainment show to just sit back and enjoy. And that had a huge crowd as well. That one filled the entire venue. There were even people sitting in the other room of the Dock House where you couldn't even see it, but just wanting to listen to it. So it certainly was a big draw for that event today. Then after that, at 5:30, I headed over to the Red Room across the ship because I had a 6 p.m. showing of Duel Reality, the second stage show for the sailing that I attended. And this one, completely different cast than the first one. This cast was more of a Cirque du Soleil style. They had the venue set up completely different. Instead of the open floor, it was a very small performance floor. They had seating on both sides of it with a small, narrow stage right down the middle. As guests were brought into the theater, they were given a blue or red band to wear depending on the side of the theater that they were a part of, and that really set up the whole show. Starts off with a bit of a feud and a fight over somebody sitting on the wrong side with the wrong band, and kicks off a whole series of challenges and events, basically a Romeo and Juliet style production, ending with the uniting and removal of the colors of everyone coming together. But it was an absolutely incredible show. It is so close to you. There is no division. There's no gap between the audience and the performers. Performers are coming up into the stands and sitting with the guests at all times. And it is right in front of you. The guests are on all sides of the stage, on every side that they have. So it really is a unique performance and a unique venue to hold a show like that. Certainly not one that we've seen before. And everything about the style was just unique. It really focused on the performers rather than any other element. There was some lighting used, mainly solid colors, darks, whites, not a whole lot of fanciness to the lighting. It was really all about the performers and their incredible talents. And while the Cirque du Soleil elements were incredible to see, the athleticism, just mind-blowing some of the things that they were able to do in that show, I think the biggest wow moment came for most at the end of the show when the cast brought out instruments and started singing. The fact that they could perform musically after all that athleticism was truly mind-blowing for most people.
Come with me, my love, to the sea of love. I wanna tell you how much I love you.
So that took until 7 o'clock. These shows are an hour long. Both yesterday's and today's was an hour long, so they are very long shows, but they certainly hold your attention the whole time. They're continuously evolving and changing. It really is a unique format that they have on board here. Each one is nothing like the other, so I'm looking forward to seeing what others they have, and of course what else they'll bring out in the future, because they do have more ships to have more shows. I know there is a second show that is supposed to be from this cast, I think Ships Passing in the Night or something like that, that is not going to be available until later in the year, but I'm sure that one will have a lot of the same elements of this one and bring it to a whole nother style. So following Duel Reality, it was then 7 o'clock. That gave about 15 minutes until my reservation for Extra Virgin. That was our dining venue for tonight. The Italian eatery on board. Always love Italian food. Hard to find it on a ship, at least the good stuff. You can always find the generic bolognese anywhere you go, especially at the buffets, but you don't often find a good Italian dish on board without having to pay extra for it. So it's nice to have an entire specialty Italian venue on board, and the food was absolutely delicious tonight. Got the mini meatballs, of course the meat and cheese platter that they bring out to the table, and some bucatini carbonara. And then the desserts were absolutely incredible. They have a series of desserts, but the big highlight of it, of course, is the gelati. You have a couple different options, a fancy chocolate and vanilla, a whiskey cream, but then they put some toppings on it that you can choose from and top it with some coffee and Sambuca whipped cream. So it is absolutely delicious, and it's prepared right at your table to your liking. So that is certainly the highlight of the meal when you eat at Extra Virgin. And that took about 90 minutes. That was one of the things I was curious about at the beginning of this, how long each of these meals take. People said different venues have different lengths, so at least for Extra Virgin, it took about 90 minutes to get through the meal service. And we weren't rushed, but we also were not waiting. It was just the perfect pace to eat a dinner at. And that took us till about 8:45. We then had a break to go back to the cabin, relax. About 10 o'clock, looked down on the balcony and saw some spotlights shining off the side of the ship. And that was because heading up to the Aquatic Center up at the pool at 10:30 was Odyssey, one of the big pool parties on board. And this was a true pool party like you would expect at night. It was a very small crowd though. There was barely anybody that showed up for it. It seemed like, especially for a ship that is supposed to be all about partying, you'd expect a lot of people to show up to this signature event. And there really weren't that many people there. It was pretty well deserted. You could show up at any time and get a great spot on the top or the bottom. There really weren't all that many people there, and that was kind of surprising. Even with the reduced capacity on board, I expected far more people to be up there. So I don't know if they're getting the wrong demographic on board, that they're not able to draw them, because even coming from Royal Caribbean, that's the kind of show that I think would draw a Royal Caribbean crowd in. So I don't think it's at the wrong crowd is there, because I think anybody would have enjoyed that show. I think it has to do with the fact that there are no communications on board. I think they just aren't able to market it. And when you look through the lineup, it just shows at night, it looks like just any other item on the lineup. It looks basically like the evening nightclub event. It doesn't look like anything special, nothing that would draw your attention, whereas the paper version would highlight it as a feature. They could have announcements over a PA system, which I know they don't want to do, and that's probably not the best way. But even having somebody appear at the shows to say what's going on, to promote it, would have brought a crowd out. But I think a lot of people did not know what Odyssey was, how big it was going to be. And people that went to the Retro Glam Party in the afternoon might have been turned off, because that one certainly was a bit of a letdown. It was nowhere near the level of Odyssey, which was incredible. That started at 10:30. It was scheduled till 1 a.m., which is a long party, 2.5 hours. Normally parties only last about an hour. And with it, the entire entertainment team was there putting on little bits, along with the cast of Duel Reality had their own little segments as well. They would come out, there was a live band, the first live band I've seen on board the ship. We've seen a lot of DJs, but this is the first live musical performance I've seen. Of course, the entertainment staff has a group of incredible singers to perform live with that band. And they come out and performed around that pool, usually only a couple minutes, and then they would stop and it would go back to the DJ for a bit and then come back to another performance. And they did that until about 12:15 before they had their final finale. From there, it went back to the DJ, became a typical nightclub for the last 45 minutes, and when that happened, pretty much everybody left. By 12:30, there were maybe a dozen people at most still sitting there. It really was not a crowd, which is surprising, because for a ship that is supposed to be all about partying, we weren't even at 1 a.m. and there was nobody around for the party. So that's a real shame, because they seemed to put a lot of work into it. There was a lot of effort involved in it. And it was certainly an entertaining show. It was definitely a higher level quality than we're used to seeing in the parties. And the way that they designed it kept the party going and kept everyone's attention throughout the entire event. So I'm sure it's a little disappointing when such a small crowd does show up to participate. One of the things that I saw continuously throughout that performance, though, that was a little interesting, was the amount of effort involved in safety. It seems like a lot of the stuff is just kind of out of control and off the cuff, but every time there was water around, at one point they were spraying guests with water. and immediately there was a whole team there to quickly sweep all the water up, get the deck dry, get the area around the pool dry, just continuously cleaning up to ensure nobody slips, falls, make sure everything stays clean and safe. And that was a little surprising because we've seen parties before and you usually don't see that kind of swift action to not even let it sit for 30 seconds before getting in there to make sure it's all cleaned up. So that officially ended at 1 a.m. The actual little mini shows ended about 12:15 a.m. That kind of wrapped up the night. I believe the Manor is still going until 3 a.m. I haven't been down there. I'm curious if I go down to check if there are any people in there at this time. But for the most part, that was the end of the night. Tomorrow we are in Costa Maya, bright and early. We have a 9 a.m. arrival. We'll be there with 2 other ships, I believe the MSC Meraviglia and the Celebrity Summit. So that'll be tomorrow. So our daily dine today, we then are going to take a look at the place I dined tonight, Extra Virgin.
Gone is the traditional massive main dining room, and in its place are 6 specialty restaurants, each with their own unique style, menu, hours, and even operating style. Unlike other lines, these restaurants are all included in the standard fare. Extra Virgin brings Italian culinary traditions to the Caribbean. The venue is located on the starboard side of Deck 6, aft of the central stairwell through High Street. Featuring a warm and welcoming feel that takes you back home, there are no large spaces with the venue divided into sections with intimate areas and tables that can accommodate pairs all the way to large groups. A signature feature of every restaurant on board is its own unique bar that, true to the style of the venue that contains it, features its own unique menu to fit the theme. The drink menu for Extra Virgin includes extra guidance on proper pairings for the various dishes through a visual guide included in the menu. These drinks are available to order from the bar or your table while dining. The menu for the venue is designed by the Italian tradition with an affettati misti with a variety of Italian meats and cheeses brought out to the table. You can also order a variety of antipasto dishes that can be shared among the table or individually. The highlight of the meal comes from the pasta dishes that feature a variety of pastas and sauces that are made fresh on board the ship. To take them to the next level, your waiter has fresh Parmesan to grate over your dish for you. If you're looking for more than just pasta, then Secondo allows you to add a variety of meat, fish, or vegetarian dishes to your meal. With all that great food, it may be hard, but be sure to save room for dessert. Extra Virgin offers a variety of traditional Italian dishes, but the highlight is the affogato, featuring a choice of gelati or sorbetti made fresh on board with a variety of toppings, and most importantly, topped with some espresso, all prepared for you tableside to bring your Italian meal to a proper ending.
So as I mentioned earlier, that one was an absolutely delicious dinner tonight. That is the only venue that I have scheduled for 2 dinners during these 10 nights. A lot of people are trying to cram in all 6 eateries in 5 nights. Not possible, but if you do some at breakfast, like Razzle Dazzle in the Wake, you can try to fudge it and claim you did it, but it's not really the dinner because they do have different breakfasts. But for me, with 10 nights, I've got every venue booked 1 night, a night at the Galley, 2 on Bimini, and that got me up to 9, which left 1 extra night to book a venue second time, and for that I chose to do Extra Virgin for later in the sailing, and after tonight I'm glad I made that choice. So after dinner I went off to the Odyssey party, and that is where our venue is today. We're going to take a look at the Aquatic Club, where a lot of people spent the day on this sea day.
When you get off the elevator on Deck 15, you wouldn't realize you're at the pool deck. Hidden down the hall, you have to go past the flex space area known as the scene to go outside. The pool deck is split into 3 zones, with the primary area known as the Aquatic Club. This section features the largest pool on board, with a large lip for laying out during the day and lounge chairs surrounding it. This area is overlooked by the DJ stand at the forward end to give the area a high energy atmosphere, while the other end features the Aquatic Club bar. Passing through the area on either side, you'll find stairs to deck 16, along with towels that are available for the taking. On the other side is the well-being pool area. This section has a more subdued atmosphere, with a dip pool in the center, hot tubs on the sides, and several pieces of workout equipment. It also features the gym and tonic bar, where you can find some healthier drink options. Above this level on deck 16 is the Sun Club, an open deck area with ample deck chairs to enjoy the unobstructed sunshine while still taking in the music of the areas below. In the center, you'll find the Sun Club bar to serve all your drink needs without having to leave the deck. For something a little different, this area also has large covered sunbeds that can be used to either enjoy the ocean or the activity of the Aquatic Club. For a fee, the starboard side between the Sun Club and the Athletic Club features a series of cabanas that can be rented out to enjoy some privacy with some peace and quiet as the ocean sails by. No matter where you choose to go, you'll find somewhere to enjoy the great outdoors while sailing on Scarlet Lady.
That is a very impressive venue, a lot of technology in there. It's basically a nightclub up on the pool deck, which is incredible to see. That back wall is just so impressive. The designs, the ability that thing has. You never know what it can do, and as I keep watching, I think I've seen the limit of it, and then it goes and does something new. So it really is incredible. I have no idea what technology they're using for that, because we've seen giant LED walls, but that is not what that is. It is something completely different than we've seen before. And it completely changes the ambience of the area. That really brings the whole venue to life at night and sets it to whatever mood you're looking for. So as I mentioned, tomorrow is Costa Maya. That about does it for today. So be sure to tune in tomorrow. Once again, I'm Derek Cohn. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for the links.